folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today I'm doing a top 10 list on my favorite mobster/mafia/gangster games. Now, mobster, mafia, gangster, that's not a good thing. I think we can all agree that they're pretty mean and nasty people, and I don't want to hang out with any of them. In a game, though, it tends to be kind of fun, right? You're like, ooh, and there's that whole subculture of the mobster thing, and that's what I'm talking about here. What are my favorite games in this genre? Now, note, I have designed a game called Nothing Personal, which is definitely set in the mob thing. That's not on this list. I do like it a lot, but it'd be kind of weird if I put my own game on a list. You can play it yourself and decide if you like it or not. Here we go. My 10 favorite mobster games. Number 10, Organized Crime. Now, this is a very old game compared to most of the others on the list, and it has some mechanisms that are really kind of weird in the sense that you're rolling dice and moving. That sounds awful, but in this game, you roll dice, you're moving your gangsters around, you're going to try to attack each other, but you got to be careful, you got to defend your area with your own mobsters, but you need money influx to get more mobsters on the board. So you need to bribe senators and different people, and you cannot do that unless you get someone else to agree with you. Now, it definitely has one of the worst box covers of all time. It looks cheesy, it looks silly, but the game itself is a little cheesy and silly too, so maybe that goes with it. It's very light, hilarious fun. That is Organized Crime. Number 9 is Gangsta. That's a very weird name. It's a trick-taking game. It uses mobsters, and you're playing this game, and there's the Russian mob is one suit. But when you play the cards, when you win a trick, you're going to take the cards and place them into a grid, and placing them in such a way to score points. So each card that's played in this trick-taking game, its value is going to change based on how the grid is built out. And some gangsters can do a few things. I really would like to see this one reprinted. That is Gangsta. Number 8 is Crooks. Crooks is a game where you have a grid, and there's different crooks, and you're placing cards into this grid, trying to change the values of different things, trying to have the most of different colors. It's really, the mobster theme is kind of a little bit pasted on to some degree, but the game itself works really well. And even if you don't like the theme, I think you probably would still enjoy this game. So that's Crooks. 7 is Greed. Greed from Donald X. Vaccarino, designer of Dominion. This is a drafting game. Now, drafting games are fun, right? You get a handful of cards, you take one, you pass it to the next person, and they do the same thing. And this game really leans towards more of an adult. Some of the stuff is very dark. We're talking at least 13+ rating on it, but as you get your different casinos and different gangsters and things, each one will give you special abilities or points in different ways, or money depending on what cards you play when. So you're sitting there drafting good cards for yourself, also drafting cards so that Susan next to you can't get that card. A really good combo. Number 6 is Mafia. Now, Mafia is just the classic game of Mafia. Many people play the werewolf version, but there's Mafia too. Mafia would be higher. It would be higher on a werewolf list possibly. I don't play the Mafia theme as much, but in this game where some people are informants or Mafia, depending on how the theming of the game works, and you are all trying to figure out who they are as they're doing hits on the people slowly. Needs a moderator. It's a classic game. There are still people I can say, hey, have you ever played Mafia? And they're like, oh yeah, I have. And if you haven't played Mafia, you probably played Werewolf. So you played one of them. Then we have number 5, Mystery Rummy, Al Capone. Now, there are many of the Mystery Rummy series. Each one does different things. In Rummy, you are essentially trying to get a set of cards and lay those down and go out. The Al Capone Mystery Rummy is actually probably my favorite one. It might be the simplest one as you're trying to collect different gangsters and place them in front of you. But if you've never played this Rummy variant, it adds a few twists to classic Rummy, which make it a lot of fun. Mystery Rummy, Al Capone. Number 4 is Bootleggers. Now, in Bootleggers, you are doing all sorts of mobstery things where you're, working in your stills and producing. This is during the Prohibition, the swill there, and then taking it to speakeasies, but you're at the same time trying to sabotage your opponent's trucks as they come or cut in front of them. But it's actually a pretty good area control style game, and you're also just like attacking each other. So it has a mix of the take that mechanisms, but also trying to control different areas with really cool miniatures, a really cool look to it. I'm not really a fan of, what these guys did during that era, but it's a lot of fun in this fantasy style setting. Bootleggers. Number 3 is Mafia de Cuba. Now, this is a game in which players have a cigar box, and in this box you are putting things in or taking them out and passing it to the next person. And when it's done, the Don of the family is trying to figure out who stole from that box and who is on his side. It's a game that allows you to pick your role in this role selection game. Very thematic as you pass this box, pretend to take stuff out or actually take stuff out. And then it all comes down to convincing the mob boss not to pick you as the thief, but to pick somebody else. Number 2 is Godfather, Corleone's Empire. This actually could possibly be number 1, but it is not completely out yet, although I played a very close to finished product of it. In the Godfather game, there are many games based on the Godfather, but this one is easily the best. This game designed by Eric Lang from Cool Mini or Not. You are going to be controlling different areas on the board, trying to get money, attacking the other players. You know, it's not necessarily attacking, but viciously trying to undercut where they are. There's different modes of area control. It's a really crunchy, fun Godfather style game. And then my favorite Mafia Gangster mob game is Cash and Guns. Second edition, although the first was a lot of fun. In this game, you are pointing guns at each other, and at the end of each round, you have to decide whether the other people have actual bullets in their guns, and then you're going to drop out so you don't get shot, or you're going to stay in the round and hope for the best, and there's a pile of money there, and you're going to be splitting that money afterwards. Has a couple expansions. They're both very fun. They add teams and other things. Highly recommend it. Now, again, I say here at the end, I understand not everyone's a big theme of mobsters and mafia, and they are certainly not people that I tend to glorify, but in a game setting it can be fun. It's like as a kid playing the cops and robbers style games, and I think that kind of fits here too. What is your favorite mob or mobster or mafia gangster related game? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel. These have been my favorite Mobster games.